Assalamu alaikum, namaskar. Welcome to the part 2 of the webinar today on the topic of the driving effectiveness in health and safety management system in specific to the construction safety industry. My first speaker, Mr. Jitu Patel, elaborately discussed on what are the systems that can improve the construction safety in specific to the health and safety management system. He talked about the major incident occurred over a period of time. He talked the causes of the losses. He talked about the domino effect. He talked about the HSE management systems, how they can help in improving the systems as well as the safety performance. He also talked about the training. He also talked about the management responsibility, very, very important thing. He also talked about the inspections and audits, how they can improve the systems. He also talked about the safety committees, which can enhance the engagement of the workforce in the systems, as well as he also talked about the emergency preparedness. He also talked about the incentive programs, basically how you can enhance the behavior-based safety programs through the incentives. And at the end, he also talked about the accountability of the management, line management, workforce, all the stakeholders, the contractors, subcontractors, the vendors, and suppliers. In the part 2, I'm going to talk in detail how we can ensure these systems are working well. So let me share my screen and we will talk in detail more. Okay, so our topic of today is driving effectiveness in health and safety management in construction industry. As you know, Mr. Jitu Patel, who is a fellow of FASSP, and he has got a 55 plus years of experience in the health and safety management systems. He worked in the Saudi Aramco, as Mariam already introduced about him. Gentleman, he is now currently staying in Arizona. To attend to this particular webinar, he woke up at almost 2:30 a.m. because of the time differences. It is a complimentary webinar. See the commitment of him to share his experience, to share his knowledge to the people, to the youngsters who are attending today. So at the same time, in part 2, he advised me to talk about how audits can improve the systems and can enhance the effectiveness in health and safety management in construction industry. Would like to thank SQC for giving this opportunity to share our thoughts with you all, with all the young professionals who are really making the difference in the positive contributions and positive difference in the sites. And today I'm going to talk about auditor's perspective. Mr. Jitu in part 1, he already talked about the inspections and audits, how they can enhance the system. As part of these inspections and audits, there are some third-party auditors also will come. There are some ISO standards also available. They can really enhance the effectiveness in the health and safety management in construction industry. In the part 2, for next 20 to 25 minutes, I'm going to talk about an auditor's perspective, what they look for, when they're surveying or when they're checking on the ISO 14001, as well as which is environmental management system, and ISO 45001, which is the occupational health and safety management system. When any industry, particularly construction industries, when they are implementing this, auditor will come to you and check. So today I'm going to talk about what auditor is going to look at your systems, and how can we enhance the scalability and efficiency can be achieved using technology, because nowadays everything is technology. Today, before COVID-19, we used to have very rarely these virtual programs, but today everybody uses the technology. I am sitting in Kuwait and people are sitting in different parts of the world. I see that there are many friends from UAE, Nigeria, Pakistan, as well as India. There are so many people register for this webinar. I'm sure you're all looking at it. You're all eager to know what auditor's perspective when he comes to your facility. So before that, I just want to give a brief introduction. Again, there are two topics we are going to talk about: what auditor looks for ISO 14001 and 45001 implementation from the auditor's perspective. When an auditor comes to you, what he looks for from you, and how can we enhance the scalability and efficiency achieved using technology to manage these initiatives. Before that, our today's topic is construction industry. I'm sure why SQC has chosen this particular topic which is very important particularly in the Gulf region. Even not only in the Gulf region, if you see on the slide there, this is a slide related to the fatal occupational injuries for the year 2020 by industry sector. This is released by the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. The construction safety is an issue not only in the Gulf region, but different parts of the world. But I'm just sharing with you the US statistics released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS we call it. And you see there, construction is the topmost contributor for the fatal occupational injuries. And you are coming from the different part of the world and different countries. If you go to the ILO, International Labor Organization, they have the country-wise statistics also. And I'm going to share some of the statistics related to the UAE. And UAE is also having so many construction activities going on because the UAE is focusing on a lot of tourism and encouraging a lot of real estate. There are so many accidents are happening in this particularly in the construction industry. And this particular slide, which is indicating about the news press release, one death and dozens of injured in Dubai over 18 months due to safety lapses. Most accidents happened in the construction sites and industrial areas. So this is the report from the UAE government ministry that maximum accidents are happening in the construction sites. So this is one of the local issue we need to address. And again, there is another news related to the men-caused death of Dubai construction worker crushed by the road barrier. That is also happened in the construction industry. And I just wanted to give some sort of a little brief about what is happening in the construction safety issues in the UAE area. I'm sure you are coming from the different countries. The same thing is the construction, safety is a big issue among your workplace also. And you see there is a highlighted portion here. Safety procedures are key to avoiding site fatalities, Dubai police says. This is very, very important, gentlemen and ladies who are attending today. The safety procedures are key to avoiding the fatalities. Even our part one of the presentation, our father of safety, Mr. Jitu Patel, already talked about how the systems can really improve the safety as well as avoid the accidents in the construction industry. I'm going to talk in detail about how we can enhance the safety management systems through audits, and basically what goes wrong. Already Mr. Jitu already identified what goes wrong in the major industries: lack of cooperation between the interfacing companies and as well as the contractors and subcontractors and other stakeholders. Mostly people think that I'm doing this job for many years, I can do safely this time also. That's called the complacency. So complacency, unmotivated workforce, or deliberately obstructive management. As a safety person, you come up with so many initiatives, but sometimes the management really, they cannot buy into that. So that's also one of the things. Ineffective enforcement of the regulations and procedures. We have the procedures in place, they are already in the shelves, but when you go to the site, nothing happens there. There is no proper implementation. Even they implement to some, but it will not be implemented to 100%. That's one of the ineffective enforcement as well as the implementation. Lack of resources to comply with the requirements. That's also one of the issue. And many other reasons depending on the nature of the incidents. That's also one of the, we need to look into the investigation of each incident. Then you can find out with the so many root causes, and we need to take the corrective action. So these are the general things that can go wrong. But in the part one, we already talked about what are the things can go wrong, how those things can be improved by engaging the management, by training, by contractor management, by emergency response, through the accountability, management commitment. All these things we already talked about this. But how can we achieve the effectiveness of these things, when in the safety management systems? But there are good news, ladies and gentlemen. We have the ISO standards. ISO is the International Organization for Standardization. And what is their tagline? The tagline is, great things happen when the world agrees. When every country agrees to do something in a common good of the people, then great things happen. That's the ISO tagline. Great things happen when the world agrees. What a nice commitment from the ISO. So even ISO has got several standards, but today we are going to talk about the health safety related standards and what auditor can look into it when he comes to your site. ISO 14001 is an environmental management system. 45,001 is occupational health and safety management. 31,000 is the risk management. 50,001 is the energy management. I'm sure many of you are aware. 39,001 is something unique standard which is related to the traffic safety. As you know, many accidents are happening on the roads, more than even if you take the oil and gas industry, more accidents happens on the road than in the operational areas with respect to the oil and gas industries. So there is the ISO standard which is related to the traffic management as well as the road safety. You can look into that. And we do have some food safety issues as well as the food contaminations. Because of that, there are operations also stopped because of the food safety. So there is a separate standard for the food safety, which is ISO 22001. Whatever standards you take, whatever ISO you take, when they come for the implementation check, when the auditor comes from the implementation check, he is going to check about the major things which I'm going to talk. But today, how ISO standards can improve the effectiveness, that is a requirement of the effective cooperation. That's one of the important thing. You need to have a good cooperation from all your stakeholders, understanding the organization, its content, and the needs and expectations of the workers. Requires leadership and commitment. Very, very important thing, ladies and gentlemen. Requires leadership and commitment. Integrate the occupational health and safety into the strategic direction of your company. Ensure resources and communications commitment and checking your performance. That's also one of the thing. Self-enforcement, evaluate your performance and determine the effectiveness. These are all the clauses which are in the ISO standards. I'm just briefly talking about that before we really talk about the auditor's perspective. And internal audit and management, external accredited certification, provides audit evidence in the event of incident or prosecution. There are so many things which ISO is really helping us. And why auditing is important? Why auditing is important? If you are not performing, if you are not reviewing your performance, you cannot improve at all. That's one of the basic component of the ISO standards. That's why auditing is being done, to analyze the compliance of our process with respect to the standards and identifying our strengths and weaknesses. So you must be knowing the SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That also one of the focus ISO auditing will give, and able to assess and identify the areas for the improvements of our efficiency. That's what I was telling. You need to check your performance and see how you can improve upon. To identify the deviations from our objectives and goals, you set your objectives and goals, whether you are doing exactly in line with that or you are deviating from your objectives. That also will help us. Audits also helps to bring the positive changes by correcting the non-conformances, which is a non-conformance is the one which is you are not conforming or you're not complying with the standards or the procedures which you have set by your own, that's a non-conformances. And preventing them from the reoccurring, you identify the non-conformance, you take the corrective action. If you don't take the corrective action, if you don't identify, if you don't have the audits, you will not be able to know whether it is a really a non-conformance, a conformance is existing or not. So that's one of the whole purpose of the auditing. And I'm sure Mr. Jitu also covered about this. There are different types of audits. We have the internal audits where your own people do the audits by your own internal departments, and that's called the first party audits. And there are external auditing also is there. There are two types of that: supplier auditing, sometimes called the second party audit, and there is a third party auditing for legal, regular, and similar purposes. Also for the certification purposes, we call it the third party auditing. So these are the general types of the audits. And as I was telling that there's ISO standard, great things happens when the world agrees. You remember that? And there are so many ISO standards, and ISO wanted that everybody should not do a different type of audits, and they come up with there's a standard audit protocol, which is a ISO 19011. ISO 19011, which is the standard for the auditing, how you need to do the audit. So see the wonderful ISO systems. They created so many audits, so many standards, and they never left you like that. You do audit of your own standard. No, they created a system, management system for how you need to do the audit. That's one of the good things. Is the guidelines for the auditing management systems. So this is a very good, wonderful document is there. And I'm going to really look into the today's topic of what an auditor looks for an ISO 14001, 45001 implementations with respect to the construction industry. What auditor looks when he comes to your site. As auditee, I'm sure many of you are attending. You are the lead auditors. You must be doing the auditing, as well as you are also auditee when somebody comes to you. So it's a good information in both ways, whether you're auditing or whether you're auditee. So when auditor looks for when following issues with respect to the implementation aspects, he looks for the management priorities, whether objectives and targets have been set properly. He looks for the characters of process and products, inputs and outputs, and what are the waste management, how you are handling it, the emissions, and management system requirements. So what are the systems you have to manage your own environmental issues, your own occupational health and safety issues, and whether do you develop the risk registers, we call it health, safety, environment risk registers, and what are the legal requirements and to which the organization is committed. When you get a permission from the government, you have some requirements to be met. We have the environmental and social impact assessment studies, we have the labor ministries, we have the legal requirements. Whether you identified all those requirements with respect to your own organization, and are you meeting those requirements? Need for the supplier evaluation. If your supplier is not good, if he is not following the systems, if he is not having any processes, your quality of that product also will be coming, whatever you are receiving. So need for the supplier evaluation is required. We have I'm sure we have the pre-qualification and vendor evaluation process, needs and expectations of the interested parties, including the customers. Whether you have done the customer satisfaction survey. If you have done the survey, you need to provide the evidence. Auditing is completely by the evidences, risk to the auditee, what are the issues you are facing as an auditee, level of maturity of the management system being audited. And that means maturity means whether you have done internal audits, whether you have done any from the internal audits, any observations have been identified, any non-conformances have been identified, whether those are being implemented. All these things will be looking by the auditor. And demonstration of the improvement of the management system, whether you have management is sitting or reviewing their performance and they are taking the corrective actions, and fulfilling the external requirements such as certification to a management system standard. Any third-party audits are being conducted earlier, and what are those observations and NCs, whether you have taken any action on that, verifying conformity with the contractual requirements. You have so many contractors, you have the requirements, whether those contractors are meeting the requirements, are you doing any inspection programs on them, are you doing any auditing programs for them, obtaining and maintaining confidence in the capability of the supplier. So supplier relations is one of the important, and determining the effectiveness of the management system, how you are evaluating your own system, whether you are having a quarterly performance report, whether you have any balanced scorecard systems, evaluate the compatibility and alignment of the management systems. You have established objectives and targets, whether your operations or your execution or implementation of your programs are in line with the objectives and targets. All these things are being looked by the auditor. And following records and evidence are very important, determining the conformity of the management system. You are doing any internal audits, inspections, audit programs, trainings, safety meetings, engaging the workforce. All these things are the very, very important. Sometimes to support the audit objectives, auditor also will conduct the interviews and observations when you go to the site visits, verifying the management system and reference documents, interaction between the components of the management system. You have the management system, what is happening at the site? Is it really happening in the similar line, or everybody has got their own way of doing the things, their own way of handling the things? Recognizing the hierarchy of the reference documents, how the hierarchy of the documents are there, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and application of the reference documents to different audit situations, functional documents, the application of the management system standards. So all these are being looked into this, and how also auditor will look into the laws and regulations and their governing agencies. You have the legal requirements. Are you submitting any legal compliance documents? What are the requirements? Whether you are meeting the requirements, whether you are updating the management that this is the legal requirement, this is what we are here, we are complying or not complying, and we need your support. So something like that. And most important thing auditor looks is what he looks from the auditee is the integrity. You need to be a very, very open-mindedness. The auditor is not your enemy or anything. He is your friend who comes to you to support, and fair presentation of the facts. Don't try to mislead the facts. Don't try to hide the facts. Do professional care. Very, very important, ladies and gentlemen. You need to be very, very polite and honest in presenting the data, presenting the facts, and confidentiality. In case you have any company operational secret, product secrets, you can always tell the auditor that this is our secret, but we need to maintain confidentiality. So before big companies, before any auditing takes place, they had the confidentiality agreement also, we call it. So that also is possible. Independence, give a full independence to the auditor wherever he wants to go or anything. If he wants to go to a particular site, you may say that if you are not interested, you need to convince him why then the operational issues are going on. Give a independence to the auditor also, and evidence-based approach. Everything is evidence-based. If you are doing something, if you have done any analysis, you need to provide the analytical reports, you need to put the laboratory reports. Everything is evidence, gentlemen. Whatever you do, you need to be really look into the evidences. Recently I was participating in one of the investigation committee. The investigation committee head asked, have you done the investigation? He said yes. The interview person said yes, and show me the document. He said, no, we have done without any documentation, sir. We just interviewed and we did the. So that doesn't really work. You need to have evidences for everything. And there are different checklists are available. Every company has got their own checklist, their own systems. So every class you can have it, and you can develop your internal checklist. Whether ISO has got a different clauses, and every clause you can have a different checklist also. That really helps to you as well as auditor also. And these are some of the clauses which you will really find in the 14,001 and 45,001. everything he will look at. What is the scope of the MS? What is the policy? What is the risk and opportunities? Did you do any risk registers? Criteria for evaluation? How you are evaluating the environmental aspects? Is it approved by the management? Environmental aspect with the impacts, or are the control measures and significance criteria? Environmental objectives and plans, emergency preparedness, and compliance of obligations and records, recording of training, as well as experience qualifications, evidence of communication. If you are communicating with the legal departments, or if you are communicating with the customers or the public around your facility, you need to have a communication, monitoring and measurement of the results, like laboratory results, and internal audit program. You have a system in your company for the internal audits, and who are the auditors, what is their qualifications, when they have done the audit, what are the observations by them, whether you have taken any corrective actions, and results of internal audits. That's what I was telling. And the management review and commitment, they will review and see where we are going and suggest for the corrective actions, what are the results of the corrective actions. And some of the mandatory records, like compliance records, as the records of training, evidence of communications, monitoring and measurement results, internal audit programs, results of internal audits, results of the management review, like we have the quarterly performance reviews, so what are their minutes of meeting and corrective actions, all those things auditor will be looking at. There are non-mandatory documents also which auditor will be looking at, like a procedure for determining the context of the organization. That means who are the interested parties, what is the context of the organization, your company, and procedure for identification of environmental aspects, competence training and awareness, like a training need analysis, procedure for communication, procedure for document and records, internal audits, procedure for management review. All these things, documents, you need to have it. And again, depends on your organization. And scalability and efficiency achieved using technology to manage these initiatives. There are internal and third-party audits are required by ISO standards at scheduled intervals. And these standards also require internal audit plans. And we need to review those plans at the regular intervals. Internal audit process that has been analyzed and measured to determine whether these internal audits process effectively implemented and maintained. And ISO standard require the documented procedures and conformance to their implementation. So these are the we can always scalability and efficiency achieved using these technologies. And as I was telling, that auditor is your friend, again in need, friend in need. And he also, when he comes to the your facility, he always looks at what are the risk assessment you have conducted, and safe systems of work you have created, all people, all plus, all plants, responsible allocated throughout the organization, everywhere. What is the management responsibility? What is the middle management responsibility? What is the line management responsibility? What is the worker responsibility at the shop floor? All these things, and the records kept and new information. And top team make the decisions for improvement. That's a review, corrective actions, and other things. The system goes on and goes on a cyclic basis, like a PDCA cycle, and in which auditor really helps in that process. Audit is a very good support mechanism, we can say, to improve your system. And there are several software solutions also available where ISO audit software solution that integrate with the document control and process management to streamline and automate audit process and data management faster and more efficiently. There is an EHS database, EHS, even I'm sure SQC also can help you in providing these software tools for enhancing your audit management process, because every organization goes for a different type of standards, like a 9001, 14001, 45,001, and other risk assessment standards. So you can have a centralized database system to support all these different standards. So it really helps you in managing the standards with a less efforts, I can say. So there are online software managing ISO compliance is much easier. System interface your employees to learn quickly. People can access at their own pace. Online trainings, you can have it. Web-based programs, you can have it. And all these things are flexible to be customized for your operations. If you are multinational, multi-application company, you need to have these systems in place. It simplifies greatly for internal and surveillance audits. Users can access only what they need, like admin rights for the administrators and department-wise, and very good IT tools are available. Very stable and secure systems are available, and they are available in the market. You can choose based on your needs. Of course, customization of these systems is always offered by the developers. And that was about part two, ladies and gentlemen, which I was talking, that how auditing can really improve the effectiveness of your management system, and what auditor will look into it when he comes to your facility, and what are the IT tools available for the managing your different types of audits. And today I'm going to briefly talk about one of the initiative which myself and Mr. Jitu Patel has taken. We jointly together have about 9 decades of experience in the health, safety, and environment profession. And since over 2 decades as a ASSP, American Society of Safety Professionals volunteers, we have done so much work in establishing several international chapters at in India, as well as in Pakistan, as well as in UAE, in Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Nigeria, and we have been continuously supporting the HSE fraternity, I can say, through different systems, different platforms, or different organizations like a Board of Certified Safety Professionals or the Institution of Occupational Safety and Health UK. And we have achieved so much supported so much for the safety professionals, particularly in this region, the Gulf region, as well as the Asia region. And we wanted to do something more for the professionals who are really, want to look for the financial support as well as the mentoring support. We approached the international organizations like ASSP and BCSP because of the tax issues and because of the, international transactions. They have their limitations. There is a ASSP Foundation, there's a BCSP Foundation, but they cannot really support the international fraternity so much. So we came up with an idea of why don't you have a similar concept? We started J&A Global HSE Foundation for the overall global, as well as a J&A Bharat HSE Foundation, which is specific to India. So we started this in 2022, very recently, and I just want to give a brief outline in a few minutes. What exactly is this, and how can you engage? You can engage with this. How can you can get the support of this foundation for your professional development, for your further career improvements? I'm just going to talk about that. Again, this is the concept of the think globally and act locally. You see, Mr. Jitu Patel and myself, we both are the founding trustees of these organizations, J&A Global, as well as the J&A Bharat HSE Foundation. Our mission is to support the HSE fraternity around the world with financial support, as well as with the mentoring support. With over 9 decades of experience, it's not only 2 of us, but there's a governing body who are the successful leaders in the health, safety, environment profession. They are willing to support. They are willing to give a helping hand to the people who are really needing the mentoring advice and how they want to grow about that. So that's our mission, and we have the objectives and vision. I recommend you to go to the J&A Bharat HSE Foundation.org. There is a website. You can get the full information. I just want to highlight one thing, ladies and gentlemen, here. It is not a membership organization. It's a purely charity oriented to support the HSE profession. If somebody wants to do any courses in the HSE profession, if they are financially weak, if they are requiring any mentoring support, they can always go to this website and register themselves. And we would like to engage with the professional organizations, would like to engage with the corporate organizations. Like today we are engaging with the SQC, Sanbook Quality Consultancy. They would like to engage with the academic institutions. We would like to engage with the individuals and philanthropists, and as well as NGOs. So it's a collaboration, and we would like to do the things in a synergetic manner. And again, with the concept of think globally and locally to support the HSE profession as well as HSE fraternity. And as I was telling that we just recently established almost 6 months back, and we have the two programs in place, which is the J&A Bharat HSE Foundation Professional Development Grant, and we have the J&A Bharat HSE Foundation Industrial Accident Victim Family Support Grant. That means professional development grant is if anybody wants to improve their careers, but they do not have any financial support for that, they can always register in that. And second one is very, very important thing, ladies and gentlemen, which is a construction, or which is an industrial accident victim family support. As we have seen from both presentations, that there are so many accidents are happening. There are legal systems in place, but when a person dies, their family is a really full victim. Corporate companies, they can get one more person next day and they can get the job done. They also have the legal support to support their deceased employee, but that will not be enough for the family. So we thought of coming up with another program called the Accident Victim Family Support Program. So if anybody is died due to the industrial accident, and they can register, their family or their colleagues or their friends can register those details in our website, and whatever financial support we can give, our foundation would like to give. So that's one of the things we have it. And this is about the J&A Bharat HSE Foundation. This is specific to India, and we have the similar J&A Global HSE Foundation that's recently registered, and we are going to have a launching ceremony soon. That's for the whole world, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody from different part of the world, they can apply for that grants. So if you need more information, there is a website available, and you can also send an email to us. You can take a screenshot of this to keep yourself, always available. J&A Bharat HSE Foundation.org, and there's an email also. You can always approach us. And for any your mentoring needs, any financial support, anyone who unfortunately you come across somebody is died because of the industrial accident, you can also apply to our foundation for the financial support. Again, this foundation is with the contributions of the people like you all. And it's not only the giving, it's not only the taking, but you can also give it, contribute it. There is a contribution form on the foundation website. You can contribute on your birthdays, special days, or then your marriage days, or you have your own system of charity, but add this also into your charity contributions. I'm sure many of you are in the safety profession. You want to support the people, but you don't know how to support them. And this is one of the platforms, ladies and gentlemen, J&A Bharat HSE Foundation. We have created one of the platform so that you can be the advocate in contributing, you can be the advocate in spreading the news. So just spread the news about this foundation, how people can really get the support from this foundation, how the professionals like you can contribute for the cause of our safety profession. And so that's one of the things I just wanted to highlight here today. And again, on behalf of my founding trustee, co-founding trustee, Mr. Jitu Patel, and myself, would like to thank you for all attending this particular webinar. I'm sure SQC is going to send you the certificate of participation as well. And it's not only not only this particular webinar, we'll be doing several webinars. You can go to J&A Bharat HSE Foundation website, as well as SQC websites for more technical as well as more professional development opportunities. Thank you very much, and we'll keep in touch with you again all the time through the LinkedIn. Search for me, Garlapati Ashok, in the LinkedIn. Search for the J&A Bharat HSE Foundation LinkedIn. Connect with us, and we will be always there to support you. And we would also like to learn from you. And again, it's the foundation is both ways. You can contribute as well as you can take it. Thank you very much. This is the end of my presentation, and I'm sure Mariam as well as Dr. Sunil of SQC will be in touch with you by email. And on behalf of Mr. Jitu Patel as well as myself, on behalf of J&A Global HSE Foundation as well as J&A Bharat HSE Foundation, we would like to thank you for attending this particular webinar. and we'll catch up again sometimes in the future. Thank you so much. Appreciate for joining today. Thank you.